What's going on, guys? Small plot growers here, and this is our black soldier fly larva grow bin. We wanted to share our findings to get it to the sustaining point where the larvae seem to be doing really well. They've chased out all the house flies and they're consuming food at a decent rate. We did screw this up a first time. It's not idiot proof. But we want to share how we got here and our mistakes along the way to hopefully save you some time. So in this video, we're going to share where we started from, how we failed and recovered, and how we found success. So right now, we just want to share the progress from when we first started. This was day 3 after starting our bin, and there's so much stuff in here, even meat scraps. You can see the house flies that laid larvae everywhere. They're going nuts. We were adding supplies left and right. There's just too much wet ingredients. We added yard waste to absorb some of it, and it just became a really dense, thick swamp. I wasn't even sure if we had buried the eggs that had been in there because we saw black soldier flies. It was hard to kind of push around in there to see if there was anything in there, and it was really starting to smell bad. Like a lot of water had gotten in there and from all the vegetables and onions and things breaking down. But we waited. Here's day 10. Things had broken down and compacted a little bit. At this point, it smelled really bad because we still had all the meat and stuff underneath there. That was a big mistake. But as you can see, we had some black soldier flies here, so it was really encouraging. So it made us think like, okay, so we could grow these flies. They are here. It took a little bit longer than we thought for them to get started, but maybe we had buried the eggs when we kept adding stuff and just took them a while to come to the surface. So we added some more materials to get to the front, but it just smelled so incredibly bad. You couldn't be even like 5 feet away without covering your nose. So because there were flies here, we still recognized that it was food for the chickens. We had to do something about it. So we let the chickens kind of come in and pick some of it over on occasion. But what we were doing is we would take scoops and we would, just toss it out there and give it to the chickens.
All right, so clearly we don't have our tank dialed in, and looking back on things, I shouldn't have added as much compost in there as I had.
We tried to make a plan for recovery. By day 12 of the first round, it just smelled too bad. I knew it was something wrong, and we couldn't keep it this way because we have neighbors close by because we're only on a quarter acre. And so I just dumped it. I let the chickens extract the larvae from what we had done. I saved 1 shovel scoop and added it to the bin here with a lot of basic chicken feed. Added some moisture and only a few pieces of lettuce to restart our bin. The chickens really picked over all of the compost that we had dumped out, even if it smelled like poop. And then we mixed it with leaves and added it to our main compost tumblers to go from there. We added a little bit of water to ferment the feed a little bit and to attract black soldier flies again.
All right, this is day 9 of resetting our black soldier fly larva bin.
As you can see, we had added some more compost, a lot of fruits with skins, and the flies larvae would go in and eat all the flesh off the skin. You can see a little bit of watermelon skin here and some avocado skin. They really did an impressive job. By day 10 after the reset, we were adding a few more light scraps, including a tomato that we also put in there on top of this lettuce. And by day 11, those scraps had already been broken down. The tomato had started to disintegrate, and you had excellent larva density, as you can see here. They were really crawling around. We could tell that they were really thriving, and it didn't look like they were swimming in a pool of muck either. Our chickens got used to us opening the top to inspect it, and they'd always sneak in for a snack, and we'd gently push them back out. Coming in at night, on day 12, they were really cranking. You can see them all moving under there so much and so close to the surface due to the darkness that everything was moving. You can see this apple core moving around here. You can see other parts moving. It was really, really something to look at. And it didn't smell. It didn't smell at all. It was pretty neat. And they're looking really good and healthy here. And that brings us to day 14. Now comes the fun part.
So check it out. We have our very first dispensed black soldier fly larva. It's not very much. And they're just in this little Tupperware container here. We're going to refine our system, but it's really exciting. It worked. It came out. Now, as you can see here, this kind of broke free and came loose. I think the plastic itself doesn't lend itself well to glue. So we have a different solution for that right now. But I'm just excited that we've finally reached this point where they really are starting to climb upwards and go up the slope of our bin and find their way out. So something else that I did not expect was that the larvae here can still scale the walls of this container. I have some on the top here, had a lot form in this little handle crevice. It got kind of nasty in there. Again, a lot in this one too. Not a whole lot on the lid itself. So I want to do something a little different to make a more of a robust guide to get to that hole. I have a plan for a different solution to guide the larva up to that exit hole right there where that pipe is. And I may even use a different type of pipe to get out into a different bucket.
If you'd like to stay up to date with the changes that we'll be making to this, please subscribe to our channel for more videos to come. Now, for a summary of tips. We've learned that black soldier flies like darkness. This is where the black bin really helps, but light can still come in through the top, especially the holes where our white PVC pieces broke off. But the holes don't seem to cause a problem. In fact, it's just another spot where some moisture can come in as long as you have drainage in the bottom. Speaking of moisture, they can become waterlogged and get squishy and die. Make sure you have the drain at the bottom, whether it's a mesh or some drilled holes, just something. Also, meat scraps may be okay once you're really rolling, but the consumption rate needs to be great enough so that the meat scraps can be eaten before they start decomposing and smelling. And then finally, to better understand your consumption rate, experiment with easing into things with simple compost table scraps like lettuce or apples. These break down really slowly, and as they break down, they don't introduce a ton of moisture. The smell will attract more adult black soldier flies and give the larvae something to munch on without flooding themselves. It's really worked well for us.
So overall, I'm really pleased with this because it's taken us about a month to get here of trial and error. It is fairly simple and straightforward, but you can screw it up. People say, oh, well, it's, you just add whatever you want. You can leave it in the middle of the field or you can put it anywhere and the flies will come. It's like, yeah, they do come. But depending on what you put in there, it can make it kind of harsh to be around. It can make it smell really bad. I was kind of embarrassed that we screwed it up initially. But going back and starting slow and introducing mostly drier compost, again, and fleshier fruits for the larva to feed on, it's worked really well. And now we're starting to get some in the bottom here. So I'm really excited. I'll post some updates after we have our different outlet tube here. But yeah, it's been a neat process. So that's all I wanted to share today. I'm going to give these larvae here to our chickens and we'll go from there. All right, ladies, you want a snack? Ready? It didn't last very long because we only had a few, but not a bad first meal. This is awesome.